Hi love. As is tradition to call the previous generation troublesome, I as a Gen Z must continue on and call Gen Alpha very troublesome. They are bullying teachers, flooding Sephora, and are being used as content babies. Their parents are using Gentoo parenting and running with it and not really knowing what it actually is. All of these things combined are making Gen Alpha very, what's a nice word to put it? An interesting generation. But if we don't do anything right now, they will ultimately be our downfall.
Baby, bless your heart. You see, the thing is millennials are raising Gen Alpha, and we did not come to play. They're gonna be ruthless.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that has seen a flood of teachers coming online saying that their kids can't read, meaning Gen Alpha, children born between 2010 and 2024, and that they are just not able to read at their age they're supposed to be. According to research, children start reading at the age of 6 and 7, even some earlier, but that's around the age when a child can recognize words and be able to sound things properly, make a sound sentence, of which children nowadays cannot do that. I am busy learning French, and my reading is as a toddler trying to read when I'm trying to read French out loud in front of people. So we're at church and one of the kids was asked to read, who's about maybe 12 years old, and he was reading the way I was reading. That's why I was confused, like, how old are you? How are you not able to read a proper sentence in your own language? And then when I started seeing these teachers come up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. Not just in America, but all around the world. I believe there's a number of reasons of why this is. I can't totally blame it on technology. It is a huge factor, by the way, but it's not the only reason. There's also schooling systems, how they are teaching children differently than they did. I mean, not only with English, also mathematics. Have you guys seen how these kids are doing division? They are making it so complicated to just reach to a simple answer, of which when we were at school, it wasn't that way. Like, the whole curriculum is changed and not for the good.
17 plus 13. 17, take away 10, the difference is 7. Then you plug that number here. 13 goes down here, and we add it to 10 from the number bond, which is 23. Automatically, that goes down here. 7 from the number bond plus 23 is 30. So the answer is 30. 7 plus 3 is 10, carry the 1, 1, 2, 3, 30.
And with regards to schooling system as well, they are not pushing back kids if they are not qualified to go to the next grade. They're just pushing them forward, and it's a disadvantage because you are allowing kids who are not ready to go to the next grade, and therefore that's where you end up with teachers complaining that a 4th grader is reading as a 2nd grader, which is, how do you even manage to get to that grade if you can't read? So we definitely need to question the schooling system, how and why they are doing this, and really try to be more involved in what the curriculum is for school students. I mean, back in my day, I sound so old, don't I? They were not afraid to make you stay back. I moved from Zimbabwe to South Africa, and they made me repeat my grade, even though like I passed the general, subjects, mathematics and English. I passed them. I did good. But then in South Africa, they had additional subjects which were different to what Zimbabwe was. So I had to repeat. They made me do it. I did it. It was fine. It was a legitimate reason to let me repeat. But right now, it's almost like the parent has to ask the school to let their child stay. But otherwise, the school is encouraging the student to go to the next grade, which is really concerning if you ask me. Another reason when it comes to Gen Alpha not being able to read is how authors are not getting the recognition that they used to get. When it was my time, kids around 10 years old knew authors better than they knew celebrities. Like, you'd be excited, like, oh my gosh, J.K. Rowling, Goosebumps are coming out. Oh my gosh, the next novel on Harry Potter or something like that is coming out, and everyone will be excited. And it would be lame for you not to have read any of the books and just watch the movie. Like, no no one watched the movies. Like everyone was into the books, and you would borrow each other's books, and novels would be something that's exciting, especially around the ages of 8 to 10 years old. That's where the girlies were at, in the library, reading books and being quirky, putting on the glasses. Like I remember wanting to get glasses so bad so that I could just embody that aesthetic of like being a reader. And I would also actually read and like talk about the books and be like, oh my gosh, did you like this person? And we'll create like fandoms with that as well, of which right now the only thing these kids are exposed to is what's happening on social media, the latest trends, the latest makeup trends, who did what did Kim Kardashian say. That's what's exciting for them. That's the latest for them. It's no longer actual books and novels. Like no one cares if you haven't read anything. Yes, I have a change of clothes. Yeah, this is literally the next day because I realized that I recorded about 1 hour worth of content and my mic wasn't working, so there's that.
My mom puts tampons in her butt.
Now, when it comes to the central reason that people are running with the iPad kids, that they're not able to read because of iPads, like definitely that's part of it. And as I've mentioned, there's other reasons as well. So in as much as technology is a factor, it's not the only factor. 20 study shows that young kids being introduced to screen time early in life is associated with lower language skills. More viewing is generally linked with lower language skills as well, unless the content is educational. However, the same study finds that viewing content with others is actually linked to a greater language skills. So that's why I really don't have a problem with technology, like in schools where kids are learning. I feel like there is also a certain extent like that can also help, but what doesn't help is just giving your child unsupervised tablet or iPad and they're in the room doing their own thing, which is not really educational. Like that is just making the attention span of your child even less. I mean, with us adults, when we are on TikTok scrolling each and every single day, we can't sit down to watch an hour of something where there isn't so much moving, all that kind of stuff. So imagine for a little child. And there's also an interesting point that is in this article. It says the video format. This is the medium to use since alphas are visual and tend to scan information. The attention span and concentration time is shorter than that of our generation. And it's not their fault. Like technology is there. Like it's not their fault. And it also says, it is therefore no coincidence that YouTube is the most used application for nearly 6 out of 10 children under 13 years old. This platform even starts to be visited by children as young as 3 or 4 years old. This implies to turn media like podcasts, video content, and gamification to address them. It also like makes me wonder, tell me what you think about this. Since we can already see that their attention span is like very short, and that's a bad thing, of course, for them to be able to reach, we now be like making new methods of teaching. I get that there was already that method that I showed you about the mathematics, but like, for other things, should everything now be changed so that they have the attention span that we had? And is that even possible? Because I do see some Gen Z be like, yeah, when I have a kid, I'm not going to give them a phone until they're like 15. But like living in this world, it's kind of like you don't want to, but you also don't want to isolate your kids. And what I've seen is that even with some Christian denominations or like Jehovah's Witness, all that kind of stuff, religion, very religious people, when they isolate their kids, not having phones, all that kind of stuff, they just become so different from the world that it's hard for them to integrate with the world. So it's like, what is the actual solution for them to be able to retain information, but also it work with the current situation with technology? Like, what is the solution? Like, I really don't even know how to word that, but like I know someone's going to get what I'm trying to say, like what my question is. And also an interesting thing that as much as Gen Alpha is not being able to concentrate and just need, fast-paced things, we as well are being changed by social media, where technology in general, where we are too nervous to go to the doctor, but we're gonna watch a doctor on TikTok tell us about how we're feeling. So it's kind of like it's really changing everyone's aspect of life. Like the only people that are really like just living in their not changing are like the boomers, like they're the only ones like still like in their like 80s vibe and just going along with it, which is pretty interesting. I say this to let you think, like, before you just go 10-year-old, don't have your phone, all that, just be isolated, you know, don't engage online and stuff like that. Like, that's as hard as someone telling you to not be on your phone, on Facebook, on Instagram. That's as hard as it is, and even worse for them because they are born with it. It's all around, you know. So that's interesting. Now, I'm sure we've all seen the flood of 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds in Sephora, and you're wondering, like, what is that child doing there? Like, what could you possibly need? And I know some parents are like, oh yeah, but like, you know, let a girl be a girl, you know, the Barbie movie, or like, I think they're taking it the wrong way. Like, when I see the defense that some of these parents are having. In fact, I had my first encounter here in France, actually, with like young kids, but they weren't like in Sephora, but they were at the mall around midday, where they should be at school, by the way. And my friend and I were just sitting talking, and then there were about 5 of them. They were like a gang. They're never just like solo, they were like a gang, and they were like looking at us, laughing, you know, kicking, and like like I literally went back to primary school. It was literally so terrifying. And one of them was like, what's wrong with your skin? You know, these kids were like mixed race. Yeah, they were literally like mixed race kids, and some black kids were like, why is your skin dark? Like, why is it like that? Like, what do you have on? And I'm just existing, by the way. And I just like ignored them. But my friend wanted to be like, hey, you know, you can't. And those kids were violent. They were like, yeah, come. They were so like scary, you know. So I can't imagine going to Sephora in America and like seeing a 10-year-old like demand something from me, and I work there, and like I can lose my job, or someone can film me having that interaction, trying to put that child in their place. But like, that would never be me. I'm so scared of them.
I had so much beef with a 10-year-old at Sephora today, and I thought it was people were just lying on the internet. Okay, maybe not lying, but like I went to Sephora today so I could use my $25 gift card, and there was a really long line. And by the time I got in line, this girl gets behind me, and she ends up like walking in front of me, and she's like, oh, are you in line? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, can I come in front of you? And I'm like, no, it's a bitch ass long line back here. And she rolls her eyes at me and gets behind me. And by the time we get closer to the cashier registers, you can like look at all the little stands with all the mini stuff. And I'm just like looking, I'm not really grabbing anything. And this girl, she has this big ass bag, by the way. She's like maybe 10 or 11 at most. She walks past me and like hits me with her back. And I turn around like, what the fuck? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, you can at least say excuse me. She's like, well, I tried to, but apparently you're deaf. I try to brush it off. And she gets back in line behind me after whatever she gets. And I start feeling like this box like rubbing on my back. And I start moving around so it can stop. I obviously know it's the girl behind me. And it keeps rubbing on my back. And I turn her around and I'm like, can I get some personal space? And then she goes like, oh, you're just in my way. We're in line. And I turn back around trying to not punch this 10-year-old. But I kept my cool. I got out of line, I paid for my stuff, and I left.
So that in itself, like a lot of just these young kids who have just no manners. Obviously, that's not all kids. And I think here in France, definitely better. Like in some areas, it's like really like, whoa, some of them are pickpocketing. Like you've heard, like in Paris, some of these kids are pickpocketing in trains and stuff like that. And these are young, very young kids. And it's so scary, you know? What's even scarier is the moms, because you'd always expect the mom to be like, no, don't do that. But they're always defending their kid to like the maximum. And I think it has to do with some of the generational trauma that happened to them, the millennials. I spoke about this in my last video, so if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. Where it's like, since my parents did this and this and I hated it, so I'm just gonna give my kid lenience whatsoever, and I'm gonna stick up for them because my parents didn't stick up for me. But then it's at what cost? You know? So the question is really, why do these 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 9-year-olds feel the need to do their skincare, to have a full face of makeup, to be grown? And what do we as Gen Z, millennials, boomers, the people behind, like, what are we contributing to that? Because again, I didn't come here to bash on 10-year-olds because they don't really know what they're doing. They are young. But I can't help but say that it is also partially our fault, and we need to take accountability and realize what we are doing to influence these young kids. So in as much as we as Gen Z have been influenced to get BBLs, or we've influenced each other, you know, or I don't know who is influencing who, but someone got a BBL and everybody else got one where you didn't need one, where your body was not fully developed. Someone got a boob job when they were literally 12 years old, or like 17 years old, or got a nose, this and this and that at a very young age, and now they're regretting it, or some are not. But still, who told you to do that? And whoever told you to do that, you probably didn't see it as being influenced, which you just found insecurities that you didn't even know you had. And there's been different aesthetics that we as Gen Z have been having, where it's like the clean care aesthetic, all that kind of stuff, you know, putting on skincare, all that kind of stuff, of which, who is watching that? You know, you know, this really aesthetic stuff, you know, this really cute stuff, like who's watching that? It is the young kids, because I heard that they are not allowed to go on TikTok, so then they go on YouTube Shorts, and that's where you see a lot of this really cute and aesthetic makeup, or like skincare videos, which really just target this 10-year-olds, and that's all they see each and every single time. And that's where you go to Sephora and see them trying to buy something that costs 70 euros, something that you can't even afford, but their parents still buy it for them. They don't even know what it's used for, but it looks aesthetic, it looks fun, it looks like a toy. Side note, which is something that I noticed, that have you noticed that skincare these days kind of looks like toys? Like, it's all fun and stuff. I don't know if I'm the only one that has noticed this. Like, look at that, look how it's written like bubble and stuff. Like, doesn't that look fun, pressing that, you know, and like opening it up and like putting, like, it looks like literal fun. And it's also like how it's advertised as well. So you also have to ask, like, what are the companies that make skincare? Like, who is their target audience now? I think it's more broader, if you ask me, because every 2 minutes a celebrity or a company is starting a skincare brand. But we have enough. And all these products are just looking more and more bright, and those bright colors and letters, all that kind of stuff, really appeal to the Gen Alpha demographic. Or am I reaching? I probably am reaching. And when it comes to Gen Alpha being influenced by us, the older generations, we have to think of how we are handling like the aging of women in general, like online, the things that we think are compliments but they're really not. What do you think a 10-year-old thinks when someone at Anne Hathaway, you know, post a picture, and all the comments down below are like, oh, you look so young for your age, oh, you never age, oh, timeless, all that kind of comments. Like, yes, she's aged, but she's still beautiful. You don't have to bring her age into it. It's sort of a backhanded compliment, where it's subconsciously putting in our minds that you always have to look young, and you need to start your skincare as young as possible, so that people are always shocked that you are older than you actually look. There's also like these Disney movies, I think this has been happening for a long time, where they're always portraying the old woman, you know, as like evil. She gives the rotten apple, the poisonous apple, whatever it is. It's always old women, always villainous. Like, you never see the grandpa being like, you know, the evil one. No, they're sweet and cute, and they say something's funny, but like the old woman is villainized each and every single time. And not only that, the films that are created for young kids have really grown people playing them, so it's almost like there's really not that stage of awkwardness. Like, you just jump from being born and to looking 25 and staying looking 25 until like in your 70s. That's when you're allowed to really look your age, because let's face it, like a 60-year-old celebrity, they always have to be told that, oh, it's like, oh, you look so young, all that kind of stuff. Almost sounds like those like memes where there's a plus size person and then the comments are written, oh, you're so beautiful though. It's like, that plus size person never said that they're ugly. Like, why you like, just stop. So I think we as content creators and influencers have to really watch what we are putting out there and who is watching us, because it really does make an impact on how these young kids view themselves. This is honestly a hard issue, because I can say all this, but at the end of the day, it is the parents' choice on what they do with their kid and whether that's protecting them or not. Take a look at this video.
What better age than 4 to start your skincare and makeup collection? So that's exactly what we did today. Today I took Noelle to Sephora and told her she could get whatever she wanted. Usually she comes with me, but today I came with her. She's only 4, so there's some stuff she can't get here, but there is a lot of stuff she can use. We grabbed some lip balm. And some more lip balm. And then she headed over to the glow recipe. She thought this was the cutest section.
This is tiny and cute.
She made me carry around this toy the entire time. This made her day and she already wants to do it again. And it made mine too because I love going to Sephora and now I have a mini bestie to bring with me every time I go. Although it is gonna cost me some more money, but it was worth it.
And if you go in the comments, she is defending herself and telling us that she can do whatever she wants, but like at the end of the day, that is not helpful to that little girl. That is not helpful to the other little girls that will see that and be like, I saw her going, so I also want to go. And there's also like the Stanley Cups. Like, I don't really know much about it, but it's just that whole thing of like, and also some kids making fun of other kids for not having this, the latest thing. And it's funny because that also happened in our days, but like it wasn't Stanley Cups or anything like that. Like you probably didn't have the latest, I don't know, Barbie doll, you know, something like that. But kids still made fun of each other. Like that has always happened. It's not just at this generation type of thing. But I think as parents, we definitely need to do better, like really knowing what our kids are doing at school so that they don't bully other kids and be like, okay, I bought you this, but you will not make fun of other people for not having it. Really have that discussion so that your child understands that. Or better yet, not even buy it for them and really ask them deep down, like, why do you want it? Is it because you want it or other people want it? You know, stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, we also get things because they're trending, you know. So it's just understanding their perspective and also your perspective. Like, what would you have done? And really making the best choice for your family and your child. If there's one thing silently hurting these little Gen Alpha babies is YouTube families and YouTube moms, content babies. That's what I like to call them, content babies. Whenever I see like my favorite influencer or like just a random influencer have a child, I'm always like, please don't make your baby content part of the content. Like, please, we don't want to see you changing your baby. Please don't do that. And some of them like really don't. Like they'll have a kid, but you'll never see their kid in their content. Like they'll tell you like, I had a kid, and you know them holding their baby, but like that's it. And I really applaud those people. And then there's some other people who see that, oh, she got 10 million views. Okay, then 3-year-old Casey, eat a banana in front of the camera. Like there's parents that do that, and this is harming this generation because you are filming each and every moment of their lives. They have no privacy and they're working. And one thing that's interesting as a history student is that you'll be reading about how, kids were made to work, at young ages, and you're wondering like, why? Like, where were the parents? Like, how did no one see that there was something wrong with that? But that's happening right now. As society, we are watching these family vloggers. We're watching kids being changed online. We're watching these kids being taken, being potty trained online. We're watching these kids be exploited, and we're commenting, oh, she's so cute, I love her content, can you show us of her new outfit, can you do her hair? Like, you're asking, like, you're a grown adult, why do you want to watch a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old bath routine or routines in anything? Actually,
Come here. Look at me. We have to do this. Look at me. She's going to be okay. Repeat this. Say, Rosie is healthy. Look at me. Rosie is healthy. Closer. Put your head right here. Closer. Closer down. Put your head down here. Act like you're crying. Really quick.
I am crying.
Go like this.
No, Mom, I'm not just usually crying.
No, I know, but go like this for the video. Go like this. Put one hand up. Go like this. No, go like this. Put your hand like this. But let them see your mouth. Let them see your mouth.
No, Mom, I'm actually crying.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
I'm actually crying.
I know. Look at me. Look at me. Look at the camera. Look at the camera.
And you always wonder, like, what in the olden days, like, your child was up a chimney, like, what were you thinking? That's a 5-year-old, But that's what's happening right now. But it doesn't look as harming because it's just media and you are choosing to just watch the 5 seconds. You don't know what came about for that video to be recorded. It's like at the end of the day, these kids are being shoved an iPad in their faces to play games or whatever, and at the same time them being filmed. There's a ring light in front of them. So who's buying these things? It's definitely not the kid. It's the parents. It's who is doing that to them, right? We have to ask ourselves that question. There's a quote that Meghan Markle said that I really like resonated with. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. She was like, in the olden days, when they invented cars, right? When they invented cars, I think when they invented cars, it was a great thing. Everyone's using them, but then they started to see that when there's an accident, people are flying off. So then they invented the safety belt. Now you have a safety belt so that you don't fall. So in as much as technology is being created, like every moment there's something new out there, AI, all that kind of stuff, shouldn't there be safety measures? Since there's this new thing coming out, have we not seen enough damage for there to be safety measures? I don't think just asking like what is your age when you are downloading TikTok, I don't think that's enough. I think more proof should be there, or maybe I don't know, some form of identity should be proven for a certain, for people to download these apps. I don't know, something that just needs to be created, or like more facial recognition so I can see that that's a baby and like just block the content, like whatever, even if it's cute and good, whatever, just take it off. Okay, you can give baby advice or mommy advice without having to exploit your child. Crazy, because just the past decade, like beating your child and like screaming at them and like, not saying sorry to your child, that definitely child abuse. But also at the same time, like our generation was like, that is bad parenting, we're not going to do that. But now we are forming a new form of bad parenting where it's like, yeah, I listen to you, stuff like that, gentle parenting, but I'm just going to exploit you and like make money off of you. Like, are we better? And when it comes to gentle parenting, I was actually raised by African gentle parents, so that's a video on its own. I made a video and got viral, and I also got featured in an article, by the way, so that was cool. But as I say, like some of the parents are taking gentle parenting and just like running with it. And I'm really trying to make this video not about bashing parents. But it's kind of like, well, who else? You are the first person with the child, But anyway, I'll look around. So there's really no one to like blame solely on everything that's happening. But everyone should collectively take accountability where you can take accountability and help this generation be more positive, sustainable, and have a fruitful future, honestly. That is why I'm making this video. If you're watching this, you don't have a kid, you have someone that has a kid, you can be like, I don't think, your 3-year-old should have, a ring light in their face, and just be like, because of that, like, just helping each other out. Because at the end of the day, we say like we want to raise our kids with a village, but this is the village. Unfortunately, like we're not there in person. But like people speaking up for positive things for your kids are the village, people that are helping you, and I also want that, like when I have kids, I'm going to be watching videos of psychologists who might not even have kids, but who know about kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I will listen to them, stuff like that, and just like learn more. Like, I don't have to have a baby to then show you how bad it is to put a phone in their face. I hope that kind of clears that part. But like, obviously, as I've mentioned, that whatever is happening to Gen Alpha, it's not just because of bad parenting, but there are a lot of factors that are happening that are making this generation very vulnerable. And when it comes to content babies, how you can not support them is by not commenting or engaging on their content, because the less engagement, the less the post or whatever goes viral and stuff like that. So just like automatically report it, or just talk about it, like how I'm doing, and just don't engage with it. That's the worst thing you can do, is engage. But like, yeah, that's another thing that's like really ruining Gen Alpha. Because in as much as technology is making them not be able to read, we as the adults are also putting in their face and filming them. And I guess I could say the same thing about like the Sephora thing, where people are filming these young kids in stores. So it's kind of like, well, they're filming them to show that these kids are out of control, but also at the same time it's like, stop filming these young kids, you know. And I always say like God is good every time, because yesterday I filmed this video, I talked, you know, all that kind of stuff, and it did not record. Like my audio was off the entire video, so now I had to redo it. So I'm wondering if there's anything that I added that I probably wouldn't have added, or something that I removed that I probably wouldn't have removed. So like everything just works out well. So yeah, that was just like a little thing there. See you guys next time. Bye.